Welcome to this week's edition of HawkTalk. My name's Parker Robinson. I'm joined by Nathaniel Easton.
Yeah, exciting weekend for the Blue Hawks this last weekend. The home contests included games against Valley City State. Men's and women's both won those. Then they swept Waldorf University. We had some track action as well as the wrestlers down in Missouri.
Yep, this week on Hawk Talk, we'll be visiting with Coach Walker of the track team, Coach Schleck of the wrestling team, and then John Solano, our wrestler. But let's jump right into it. Coach Walker, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, my name's Nick Walker. This is my first year of coaching DSU track and field. Thanks for having me this morning, guys.
Yep. And not only your first year as a coach, but you're also an alum of Dickinson State University. Looking back at your time as a student here, what do you take away from that leads you to coaching here today?
Well, I think first of all, the family, that atmosphere that we have here at Dickinson State hasn't changed since I left. I think the time that I spent here, and it's getting longer and longer ago, guys, now, but the time that I spent here was great, and I'm happy to be back.
Right, you were a part of the football team back then, as well as the basketball team, as you just mentioned to us earlier. But you're also helping out with the football team this year. Looking back at that season, how successful it was, how proud of the guys are you?
Well, I'm very proud of them. From the first practice that we had in the fall all the way until the last practice into the last game, I thought their work ethic, their commitment to the family philosophy that Coach Stanton always talks about in practice, and then their togetherness and the willingness to do what it takes to be good was really fun for me.
All right, we're back. We're full swing into the track season now. Heard a couple different comments from some friends on the track team that they feel a lot better about the training that's gone into this year. So touch a little bit on what you had those athletes do to get ready for the season, and then the early success you've seen.
Well, we had a great fall. One thing that happened is after I took the job, Coach Shane Whitkop was hired as well, and Coach Whitkop has a distinct background in the training, and he took our athletes that were not involved in a fall sport through all of the VAE, and so we had a great foundation, and then we kind of carried that over into the first part of the winter, and now we're into our what we call the meat and potatoes of our training, and so we're real pleased with the athletes' hard work so far.
You mentioned athletes that weren't in a fall sport. You have quite a few that did participate in those. So touch on what track can do for those athletes in their off season, so to speak, but at the same time, it kind of becomes their main season when they compete in track.
Yeah, I just think the foundation that you're able to build, if you're in a fall sport, you're getting that a little bit with your sports, but, we do some over distance type stuff with all of our athletes in the fall, so when the workouts start to get tougher in the course of the season, they have a good foundation laid for them so that the work that they're doing now isn't too much for them.
So far, the two meets have been trips down to Spearfish. So just take us through some of the results, some things that have pleased you in those 2 weekends.
I think we'll start on the women's side. I think, anytime you talk about, I think what Whitney Lurenberger is doing right now is really impressive to have back-to-back PRs in the weight throw, to win the shot put last week along with the weight throw. I think she's more of a mid-season form right now. So you talk about her off-season training, the lifting she's done to get herself where she needs to be. Really impressive so far. Amanda Wolf's had 2 good meets. She's run back-to-back mile and 3K and then mile and 8 and really been competitive in those races. We've got a lot of younger kids that are figuring out collegiate track and field right now and are going to be very good. And then Abby Honeyman, actually, in the first meet, she didn't compete last weekend, but she ran a lifetime best in the 60 hurdles. So the women's team is looking very good. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Megan Daly. Megan Daly's high jumped and triple jumped at the first 2 meets. Kind of started where she picked up last spring, so we're hoping the trajectory keeps on going up for her. On the men's side of things, let's start with Jose Charo. Jose is a kid that when I first got the job, he was ready to work out. He ran a lifetime PR in the 60 hurdles last week, ran 8.29, 0.02 of a second off the automatic qualifying standard. He actually blew away the field last week, so he's looking really good. Kane Boshi, Chase Anderson, both football guys in the sprints for us. Our stockpile of jumpers is really
locked and loaded.
Yep, looking good right now. Actually, a freshman kid from Jordan, Montana, Ty Stanton, won the triple and got second along. Jay Liggins looks really good. And then let's not forget about Zach Gerard. Zach Gerard just high jumped and triple jumped first meet. Long jump last week, set a lifetime PR of a little bit over 21 feet. I'm getting used to the metric to feet conversion right now, but the set an all-time PR there, so really good stuff.
Right, and for athlete of the week in the first 2 weeks of competing, track and field's a little different, a more or individual based, but what's the leadership on the team like?
Well, I think we have a great group of seniors. I think what they've withstood through their 4 years of having four different, if they've been here for five different, but four different head coaches, to still be here, to still believe in what I'm doing now and what our staff is doing, I couldn't credit them more. We're blessed to have them, but in order to have good teams, whether you're a football team or wrestling, you guys will talk about later, or track, you have to have leadership, because sometimes when the coach says something, it means more when it comes from the athletes as well.
Right, and do you see that in the day-to-day training in the weight room, on the track, whatever it may be, who kind of stands out?
Well, I do. I think in track, you have different groups that work out every day. Having Whit and Ty in the throws that have been around, they're very good for all of our athletes. We've got a great group of athletes that encourage each other through workouts. Let's face it, there's days in track that aren't fun, but the atmosphere is good. There's a lot of smiles. There's a lot of people that are working hard. I would say Jose's a leader. He does a great job. All of our football guys that have been through the leadership with Coach Stanton do a great job. And then, I think the Abby Honeymans, the Megan Daly's on the women's side, Shayna Tondrum stepped up into a leadership role now as well.
Now, we've touched on the individual aspect of track and field, but at the same time, there's team trophies. I'm sure that's one of the goals the team has. So talk about how you can get the most out of each athlete as you look towards those conference tournaments.
I think what happens in track is, and I love collegiate track because you never keep track of really team points until the conference meet, okay? And so you don't have that, we're going to go score in these events. We're trying to figure out where everyone can best be suited for the conference meet. When you take a look at it, our women's roster currently has 21 women for the indoor on it. Our men's roster has 31, and we're trying to figure out the best place that we can put all those kids to help us be successful at the conference level.
Now let's take a look at what's before conference, what's remaining on the schedule. You were mentioning the schedule on the way up the stairs, so just run the folks at home through that schedule.
Yeah, we go to Moorhead this week for a meet on Saturday. We're taking approximately 32 athletes. We're giving a couple of our kids a week off here just to train, and then we'll go back to Fargo for the Bison Open, a big 2-day meet where we will kind of roll out what we're going to do with our guys at the conference level, and so they can run those events and run them at a big time meet. Then we come back the 11th of February for the conference indoor multis in Jamestown, and then the 18th of February is our conference meet in Brookings.
Now, kind of wrapping things up, how nice is it to be back on campus, but not just back on campus, but surrounded by a bunch of winning programs? You talked about you were on the last men's basketball team to make it to the national tournament all of a sudden here, late into the season, their first place in the conference. So just touch on the athletic department as a whole and your thoughts on being back involved.
Well, I first of all, I couldn't thank the president of Dickinson State, Tim Daniel, enough for giving me the opportunity that they've given me, because I'm really enjoying it. I think our coaching staffs at Dickinson State speak for themselves, the success of their programs. It's awesome to come to events and see the time and effort that all of our coaches and athletes are putting forth to try to get the trophies and trying to get that success within their teams, but also the camaraderie between programs. We got a wrestling duel coming up tomorrow night, and we're going to have our track and our football and our basketball kids there supporting all of our programs.
All righty, Coach. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll talk to you more in the future.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, we'll be back after this quick break talking wrestling. All right, welcome back to Hawk Talk. This is the Blue Feather feature, the Blue Feather Athletic Association, the funding body for athletics, a part of the DSU Heritage Foundation. Students, if you're watching this out there, make sure you go sign up for the scholarship application. Those are still open until February 1st. But without further ado, we're sitting down with one of our wrestlers. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is John Solano. I wrestle here at Dickinson State for 184.
Yep. So you're from California, one of quite a few on the wrestling team from California.
Yeah.
Just kind of guide us through what the adaptation to the North Dakota lifestyle, if you will. A little colder, but how'd you end up at Dickinson?
I ended up here at Dickinson because my high school coach actually was an All-American, a 3-time All-American for Dickinson State, and he introduced me to the school. The change, the adaptation from going to Southern California to North Dakota was extreme. It's city and where I'm from, and there's a lot of people. And then here, it's just more, everybody's closer. Sure. But that's one of the benefits that was a great adjustment is you don't really talk to people. Even as many people there was in Southern California, you didn't really communicate with people. People were like, oh, who are you? But here, everybody's, connected and like, hey, how are you doing? And, that was different to me. People saying hi to me on the streets, and I was just like, hi.
With that transition, did it make it easier having other California kids on the roster? Is that something you looked at when you decided to come here?
That wasn't a big thing for me, like, because I can get along with anybody, everybody's always pretty much the same. So it wasn't that big of a deal whether it was California or not.
What was the adjustment wrestling-wise to making the move to the college level?
Huge adjustment. Everything's different compared to high school wrestling. High school wrestling and college wrestling is totally different. No matter what division you are at the college level, it's totally different. In a wrestling sense, you got to keep attacking. In high school, you can kind of like, maybe just take a shot and, all right, I'm going to break away. But in college, you have to push the pace, and, you have to...
Sure.
You have to be the aggressor in college.
Yep, and you've been fairly successful here at Dickinson State. Last year you got 4th at Nationals. Just kind of walk us through what the experience at Nationals is like, especially when you have a few teammates along with you there.
Nationals is great. It's a great feeling to be there. It was my second time being there. The first time I was a little nervous. It's a big tournament, big wrestlers there. And so I think that, maybe got in my head a little bit. But going there a second time, being there, I was comfortable. You know what? This is just another tournament. It's a big tournament, but you know what? You got to go in saying it's another tournament. And being with, all your teammates who have trained with you all year, work hard, put in a bunch of sweat, everything. Being there with them is a great feeling, knowing that, we're all we're all going for the same goal, to be a national champ. And, just even warming up in the big arena it's a great feeling to be there with all your family. The team becomes your family.
Right.
And it's great.
So you've been there twice before, so you're kind of stepping into that leadership role here in your senior year. What do you tell the younger kids trying to reach there? What's your advice to them?
My advice to them is always to just, you got to keep your head right. You got to train hard, and you got to always remember that, again, like I said, every tournament it's another tournament. Everybody's good. You got to go out and try to be the best. You got to prove yourself every single time. And, everybody wants to beat you. And you got to say, I'm going to beat you instead. Like, that would be my advice. Just go out there, trust what you know. Trust your wrestling, trust your training, and let it go.
Now, not many wrestlers out there have a fellow All-American in the same weight class. So at their own institutions, it kind of touch on the dynamic of sharing 184 with Mr. Overson and what that's helped you with in the room.
It's pretty intense having another All-American, training with. Yeah. Our 97 pounder is also an All-American, so that's 2 weight classes that I train with. I train with Lane Overson and Hudson Buck. And the competition in the room is insane. Sometimes it gets discouraging because these are good wrestlers, and you know what? I'm having a hard time just wrestling, taking them down. But you have to remember that, these guys are good, and they're going to get me better. We're getting each other better. We're going to maybe be all national champs, not just All-Americans, but national champs. And it's pretty intense doing that. And you got to just keep your head up and know that, I'm wrestling with some great guys.
Now, academically, you've been here 4 years now, had a business class with you, so I assume you're a business major. And what are you looking to do with that once your time wrestling here is done?
Right now, what I'm looking to do is probably get into construction, which is, it's not a business yet, but I want to just gain the blue-collar part.
Absolutely.
Learn the field, and then use my business degree to go get into the office of construction, when I get a little bit older. And so that's my plan, to use my degree in the future, more in the future.
Now, a lot of your wrestlers have sticked around and helped in a coaching capacity. Is it to touch on the dynamic of having a former teammate as assistant coaches as the last 3 or 4 or so have been?
I love that. I love that every year that we've done that. Last year it was Tyler Brown. The year before that it was Jesse Hellinger, and then this year is Taylor Hodell, who were all Americans, and just having them in the room is it's really nice because you know that they've been there with you, they struggled with you, and so having them to help you and to encourage you, they do it better than anyone. I mean, not better than the other coaches. Coach Justin Slack does great, but having somebody our age to relate to us in a closer set.
Sure, this weekend really provides your last opportunity to wrestle in this community. So kind of talk about how important this weekend is and give folks a reason to come out and support you guys.
It's pretty, it's like you said, it's pretty important. This is my last time one of the last times I'm gonna be competing in Dickinson, and it's gonna be a tough competition. We got some great schools coming out. It was specifically the number 2 guy in the nation is one of the schools that are going to be competing this weekend, and there's going to be a lot of good wrestling, and it's going to be really important to go out and wrestle hard. Should make a name for myself a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, last question for you: what's your biggest takeaway from your time in Dickinson, Western North Dakota?
My biggest takeaway is probably there's a lot of different people. I learned that in being here in Dickinson. Like I said, going to a different culture and adapting, you learn to just meet different kinds of people, and you develop new interests. And I think it was a great experience coming out to Dickinson, getting out of my comfort zone, going somewhere I never knew, somewhere that's over 1,500 miles away from where I'm from. And I would recommend anybody to come to this school that's from maybe a city.
Sure. Different experience.
Different experience.
Alrighty, make sure you take advantage of the opportunity to catch John on the mat tonight. Thursday is that first duel, then the Tyler Plummer Classic on Saturday. Make sure you take advantage and get out, support this returning All-American. Thanks for joining us, John.
Thank you. Thanks, John. We'll be back talking to your coach, Coach Schleck, after this break.
Life is full of many successes, achievements, stages. Every year we grow, things change, and pretty soon we realize we want and need to do more. When you're ready for that next step, Dickinson State University will get you there. Find out how at dsublue.com.
All right, welcome back to Hawk Talk. Wrestling's hit the mat a few times since we last talked, so we're joined by Coach Schleck. Coach, how's the road been treating the team?
Yeah, we've definitely been road warriors for sure. We've got a few trips under our belt. We've been to Hastings, Nebraska, about a 10-hour road trip. We've been to Missouri Valley, about 14 hours. We went up to Havre, Montana, and Great Falls. That's about another 10 or whatever. Kind of made a big loop there to catch both those schools. But yeah, we've been on the road a bunch, definitely.
Yeah, what are some of the takeaways from the larger tournaments that might give the guys an idea of where they stand with different wrestlers from around the country?
The 2 duels that we had against Great Falls and Northern, we definitely didn't wrestle our best, but they were a good kind of wake-up for us. But the Mo Valley tournament, that's a great tournament. It's almost like a mini nationals. There's 33 teams at that tournament. There's probably 10, 12 top 15 teams. And it's some great competition. I'm sure if you went weight class by weight class, you'd find 15 probably ranked wrestlers in every single weight class. We competed well. We stuck our nose in there and we got after it. There's definitely some areas that we need to work on. Conditioning is something we're always going to keep working at. We need to work on some things technically. We need to work on finishing matches and putting guys away and stuff. But we're gaining on it, and we don't need to be our best right now. We need to be our best in March. So we're getting there.
Now, with a veteran bunch, how crucial is that to taking the burden off your shoulders as far as understanding where you need to improve, but at the same time, kind of coaching those younger guys who are experiencing their first competition, at these tough tournaments, keeping them invested.
Yeah, it's easy to say we're a veteran bunch, but at the same time, we've got some young guys in the lineup. We've got some new guys in the lineup. But having the older guys around is definitely beneficial. They understand it. Let's not forget that they're still student athletes, and they have demands on themselves too, and they need to take care of themselves. And they still make mistakes too, and they still need guidance in there as well. But it helps kind of keep the emotional roller coaster a little flatter. But they still have their needs and their demands as well. So.
Now, with that veteran bunch, the weekend presents one of the last opportunities to catch them wrestling in Dickinson. How nice is it to not have to leave? You'd be gone already by today.
Yeah.
In a typical week. So what's the relaxing aspect of?
Yeah, for them it's nice, in some aspects. I mean, we've got a lot of setup whenever it comes to home events. I mean, obviously, faculty, staff, right down to custodians, all of those guys play a huge factor, and we couldn't do it without those kind of people. It's those kind of people behind the scenes, the table workers, the head table people, that kind of stuff that make these home events really happen. But just because we're at home doesn't mean it's all fun and a bed of roses. I mean, we've got a great duel coming up. They've got to make weight and wrestle on Thursday. Then they get a day to practice, and we're making weight Saturday and wrestling a great tournament with some tough matches. Get Sunday off and roll right in on Tuesday and have another great duel against a great team where every match is a battle match. So it's nice to be at home, but
the work doesn't stop.
Yeah, there's still stuff to do. We can't take it for granted just because we're at home. So still a lot of stuff to do.
Right. You mentioned the faculty and staff putting in work for the Tyler Plummer coming up this weekend. Touch on the community and how big it is for them to come out this weekend and support.
Yeah, we don't, in our schedule, it's really hard to get a lot of home events for wrestling. But when we're able to put this tournament on and have this event, it's pretty awesome that we can have that support. It's pretty awesome we can have those fans, give them a chance to watch us and support us and that kind of stuff, And just the fact that we're having this tournament for such an outstanding individual that was a diehard Blue Hawk, and I got to be a part of, and be a part of him, and he was a part of my experience in my college wrestling, and what a great guy, and what a great proponent for the sport of wrestling. And we get to do this tournament in the name of him, and it's a pretty cool thing. We give out belt buckles for the champs, and his family helps hand them out in honor of him. And so it's a really cool thing that we get to do with the Tyler Plummer Classic, and the support that we get from the community, from faculty, staff, and all the coaches and everything is pretty awesome.
I interviewed returning All-American Sean Elkins about last week sometime, and he mentioned one of his huge goals is to try to win one of those belt buckles. So obviously that means a lot to not just you, but that's kind of the culture in the wrestling room. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think always our demands that we put on ourselves and our standards that we put on ourselves are probably higher than most have on us, and we have high expectations of ourselves, and we're not going to concern ourselves that much about what everybody else is, but we know we have expectations. And I'm sure the guys, I don't think it's about the belt buckle. It's not about that, that physical presence of that belt buckle, but it's more about just the honor of doing it right for Tyler.
Sure.
And that's a pretty big deal, and that goes to show that these guys are more than just athletes, out on the mat, that they've got a good inside too.
If you're not able to make it out tonight for that first duel, you got the opportunity to listen to Parker and myself, as well as Coach O'Donnell on the call on DSUBlueHawks.com. Do you have any advice for Coach O'Donnell while he's broadcasting that first home duel?
Yeah, I'm definitely not in the place to give Coach O'Donnell any advice. After being an athlete under him and coaching with him, he's definitely my mentor. So we'll let him take the reins on that. My suggestion to you two would be
let him take the reins.
And he'll do. He's a great mastermind of that. So he's He's an outstanding individual that's played a big part in Tyler's situation and this tournament.
All right, so just quickly run through the weekend schedule when folks can catch the wrestlers in action.
Yeah, so we will be on Thursday, we will be dueling Concordia Moorhead, and then on Saturday, and that'll start at 7 p.m. On Saturday, we wrestle our tournament, the Tyler Plummer tournament. That will be, we'll have teams like UGF, Great Falls, Montana State Northern, Jamestown will be here, University of Mary will bring a few guys, Minot will bring a few guys, some of those schools. That wrestling action will start at 9 a.m. I would think finals could be, it's a wrestling tournament, so we never know for sure, but anywhere in that 1 to 2 range, something of that. And then next Tuesday, the following Tuesday, we will be wrestling Aberdeen Northern State from South Dakota in Scott Gym, and that'll be starting at 7 o'clock.
You heard it from Coach. Great opportunity to come out and catch that action as soon as, or even maybe in conjunction with the Tyler Plummer, the girls basketball game against Mayville State will get underway. So there's no reason to make any other plans Saturday. You can spend the whole day at Scott Gymnasium. Coach, thanks for joining us. Good luck running everything this weekend.
Thanks, Coach. Yep. Students, make sure you go to dsuheritagefoundation.org, fill out the scholarship application, but there's an additional opportunity. We're giving away a custom DSU chair. All you have to do is hit the like or follow button on Facebook or Twitter for the DSU Heritage Foundation, and then share the message using hashtag DSUHFchair. Get your name entered for that drawing.
Also, like we talked about, DSUBlueHawks.com is where you can catch all the results from this weekend's action. Women's team ranked 23rd in the country, men's team first place in the conference. Come on out, support them. Make sure you catch out the wrestling action as well. We'll catch you next week.